across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good evening to you. This is Talk and this is Petrie, and we are going to be talking at midnight, I hope. What I want to do at midnight is talk to you about whether you've ever been arrested abroad. Maybe you got into trouble for being drunk. Maybe you got into trouble for something you didn't do. Maybe it wasn't you that got arrested. Maybe it was somebody in your party, in your family, that got arrested. I'm going to tell you a story about the time my son got arrested a little bit later on. It was the most terrifying thing for me. It really was, because he was overseas, obviously. I was at home. He was 18, so they wouldn't tell me anything. And because he was an adult, blah, blah, blah. So it was horrendous. I have told the story before, so I'm sorry if you've heard it. But it nonetheless was one of the most terrifying moments ever. And I think it's the worst thing for a parent to hear, that your child, and it was very, very serious accusation. I mean, it wasn't true, and obviously he's home and he's clean and all of that. But he was arrested at gunpoint. Woken up at gunpoint and arrested with his friend for something incredibly serious. I mean, I thought I was going to have to sell my house, move out there, pay for lawyers, do all of that. It was one of those moments. However, it did all work out. Actually, a little bit of bribery from me to the judge. He didn't do anything, and they were cleared. But still, there was a fair bit of money that changed hands in order to expedite his release earlier than they wanted to. But I'll tell you all about that later. But I just want to hear from you, because when you go on holiday somewhere and you take your British behaviours with you, maybe they're not acceptable. And a lot of people don't look and see what the local customs are necessarily, or the local rules might be, but everybody knows, right, that drugs probably are not a good idea. But if you're going somewhere like, I don't know, some countries ban vapes. Some countries ban very basic medicines. So I just want to know if you've ever got into trouble overseas and what that was like. I'll be talking more about that in just a moment. But that's the phone in. So that's what I want to talk to you about at midnight. So please do call in with all of your stories. I look forward to hearing them. The number you're going to need is 0344 499 1000, and you can message me as well, 87222, if you put the word talk up front and then your message. You can also WhatsApp a message, which is free of charge, a short voice note as well you can do to the same number, which is 0344 499 1000. So those are all the ways that you can get in touch, and I hope that you do. Before that, going through the newspapers for Thursday is Claire Muldoon. She's going to be talking us through all of those front pages. Vicky Mitzi will be here as well, talking about podcasts, so you can get your podcast ready for the rest of the week. Lottie Hume, senior reporter at The Sun, will also be with us to talk us through some entertainment news. But first, as I was just saying to Kevin, have you noticed in the newspapers there are more and more, it feels like there were more and more stories about Brits getting arrested abroad, particularly, it has to be said, for trying to smuggle drugs, or allegedly trying to smuggle drugs into countries where, well, most countries, I would say that would be unacceptable and illegal. But you wouldn't be wrong if you thought, God, there does seem to be a few more cases of these going on, because there are a few more cases of these going on. So what is happening? Why is it happening? And also, why is it people aren't learning lessons? I mean, I don't understand. If somebody approached me and said, look, here's 10 grand, can you carry this package? I think I'd pretty much quickly figure out what it was. But then maybe I'm not in a position where I'm vulnerable and I need that £10,000 more than anything else in the world. So at the moment, of course, a trial has begun of 3 British nationals alleged to have been involved with smuggling cocaine disguised as packets of angel Delight. Do you remember Angel Delight? They were those sort of flat packet of powder that you mix with milk and make a dessert with. So we used to have it a lot at home in the 70s and 80s. So that's what happened. This is in Indonesia. The three of them, there's two of them who's 38 and 39 years old. So they're not. You would imagine it's always younger people that get into these predicaments. The third one is 31 years old. And they had these 17, allegedly had these packets of cocaine with a value of roughly £300,000. They now face very, very serious consequences to these alleged actions. Of course, the consulate is working with them, etc., etc. So that's just those three. Then the other week there was the former air steward who allegedly had taken some cannabis, quite a lot of cannabis, into another country which wasn't accepting of that. I don't think it was the Philippines. And a girl before that is already there for the same thing. So we hear about this a lot more because it's happening a lot more. And people who know more about that than anybody else is the prisoners abroad who, without prejudice, without any bias at all, they just try to look after prisoners abroad. The organisation has found that women and young people are particularly impacted, and they form 62% of all new drug-related cases. New drug cases are up 57% on last year. So we're not imagining it. Let's talk to Christopher Stacey now, who is CEO of Prisoners Abroad. Christopher, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I mean, seriously, we are I mean, a lot of us will think, oh, maybe it's just the ones that are making it into the paper, or maybe we're imagining it. But these cases really are on the climb.
They are indeed, and good evening, Petrie. Thanks for having me. Yeah, the cases that you mention are in many ways just the tip of the iceberg of the wider trends that we have picked up on. You mentioned some of the stats that we've got. We're currently supporting over 1,000 people overseas. That's for a range of offences, but we're getting about 20 new referrals a week of people that are being arrested, and that's for a range of offences, but particularly more than half of those at the moment are for drugs-related offences. And so I think it is a particular concern of ours. It's feeling like it is shifting from a momentary trend into something that's much more significant as an issue.
Why is it that younger people and women are, are more vulnerable to this? I mean, it seems to make sense to me that they would, people would approach them thinking that they would be more vulnerable. Is that what it is, that they're just easier to target?
It is quite hard to be precise about this. We're still doing what we can to try and find out why. We're working closely with the Foreign Office to try to understand what's going on. I think we do think that some of this increase in particular can be accounted for the legalization of cannabis for personal use in Thailand, because quite a few of the cases that you mentioned are of people that have travelled abroad, been to Thailand in particular, and then seemingly changed their travel plans to their family's knowledge and ended up travelling to another country where they've then been arrested. Now, I think we are seeing a particular impact for young people in terms of social media and targeting of people on social media, but we don't have enough information to be fully clear on that. I think it is important to stress, though, and I think you mentioned about understanding why is this still happening? Don't people know better? I think what we see time and time again are cases of British people who simply didn't intend to find themselves in this situation. It's not like they've intentionally travelled abroad to commit drug smuggling offences, but they have invariably found themselves caught up in situations where they are incredibly vulnerable. I think anybody travelling abroad on their own can be quite vulnerable, and particularly women and young people seem to be those types of people that are getting caught up in situations that they really just didn't have any intention to.
Yeah, I mean, I know that your organisation is non-judgmental and non-biased, and what you want to do is go and help people who've got themselves into these situations. But you know, we do know that you shouldn't take drugs. I mean, without being judgmental, we see enough stories about people getting arrested. We see enough stories, young people. I mean, you know, there's not even that much time, it would seem, to groom them into carrying drugs. They must know that a large packet of cannabis that they're being asked to carry on behalf of somebody else is probably not the smartest move, and that's kind of what I meant by that. I'm not trying to be, you know, judgmental, but come on, they know it's dangerous, right? Well, otherwise, why would they be being paid to do it?
And I think one of the things that we are very clear about as a charity is that we are supporting British people, whether they're convicted, whether they're unconvicted. We don't campaign to get people out of prison. We're not saying that someone shouldn't go through the judicial process, but I think some of the countries that we are talking about here, we really need to protect people's health, their welfare, some of the treatment, some of the quite horrific conditions that people find themselves in. We are talking about the work that we're doing is about making sure that people that now find themselves in prison have just simply the very basics like food, water, bedding. These are basic things that sadly are not guaranteed for people, and it is an incredibly traumatizing situation, both for them, you mentioned this yourself, to families who find themselves in just a state of shock, didn't think it would happen to them. They're desperate to find out information, and an important part of
it's horrific. I mean, it turned into nothing for me, but it was horrific. I mean, it was one of the worst times in my life, I have to be honest with you. But, I mean, again, there will be people listening, Christopher, who will be saying, look, you do the crime in a country, you do the time in a country. And, you know, if the prisons are horrendous, that, you know, you haven't found yourself in prison. You have put yourself in prison by doing something illegal and risky. And again, I appreciate that's not your stance. I understand that. But a lot of people would have that opinion, saying, well, look, you know, it's not like it's secret that drugs shouldn't be hidden in suitcases or in Angel Delight packets. You know, otherwise you could just carry them in hand luggage. So people have put themselves in these dangerous situations and in these very complicated legal situations.
I think in some cases that is true. I think in many cases people haven't always put themselves in these situations. I mean, I think it will be really important to hear from the people who are currently going through this in time, to actually hear from them about what happened to them. I think ultimately this is about recognizing that it's not about sympathy. It's not about saying whether somebody should or shouldn't be in prison, but it's about making sure that their basic rights are protected, making sure they have access to good legal advice. We know that many countries have quite frail judicial systems. You mentioned about a judge and bribing money. You know, this is quite prevalent in many parts of the world, where you cannot be guaranteed good legal representation and a fair judicial process. So I think it's really about, when you recognise those vulnerabilities, it's about really making sure that people's health, their welfare and their basic rights are protected.
When people do travel, and I understand that because Thailand were trying to empty out their jails, so they thought, right, what we'll do is we'll make cannabis growing and keeping and using legal. is it the case that young people, when they go to Thailand and they can use cannabis, I mean, let's be honest, although it may be illegal in this country, it is prevalent, it's everywhere, and people are used to just being able to walk past a police officer in a London street smoking a joint. Do they get lulled into that in a way, into that false sense of, well, it may be illegal like it is in the UK, but hey, I've sat in front of a copper doing it?
I think there is some of that at play here. I think there have been reports about the customs process in Thailand being criticised for perhaps being a bit too lax in terms of allowing people to leave the country with larger quantities than what you might consider to be for personal use. And that may be fueling some opportunism about taking advantage of that type of situation. And this isn't just Thailand either. It's in other countries where we've seen an increase in drugs arrests in the United Arab Emirates as well, where the vast majority of the people we're supporting there are there for drugs related offences. I think it is important to stress, and I know you've mentioned this as well, these are people that have been arrested. They haven't been convicted. They sadly face often many months in limbo whilst they await both charging and then potentially a full hearing before a court, and that can have significant impacts on people and their families. And for us as a charity at Prisons Abroad, it's about really making sure that we try and focus on the here and now, what can be done now to really make sure that people are protected. Some of the really basic things that we do, like sending money, grants to people so that they can pay for things that many people in that country might have friends and family that can come in and bring clothes or extra food. That isn't possible if you're a foreign national. And so those kind of really basic essentials are what can be the difference. And I'm really not overstressing this when I say it can be the difference between somebody surviving this, because sadly we do come across individuals that don't make it through what is an incredibly difficult time.
The consulates around the world, I did mention in the case of the three that have been arrested and facing the death penalty currently, are the consulates of much help? I mean, in my situation, it was a Friday, so the consulate was absolutely, there was nobody home. So there was nobody answering calls, which I thought was ridiculous. But do the British consulates, do they help as much as you think they should do? I mean, if they did, there wouldn't be any need for your charity, presumably.
Well, we work really closely with the UK government and the Foreign Office for decades. We've worked in partnership. It is really important to recognise, and it's good advice to anybody travelling, as a British citizen, if you're arrested overseas. Before I took this job, I didn't really appreciate this, but it's your right to speak to the British Embassy if you're if you're as a foreign national. It's one of the first things that the prison should tell you about, and often that can lead to a visit from a consular representative on behalf of the UK government, and that's how they signpost to the work that we do as a charity. It can vary quite significantly from country to country for a range of reasons, and that's often dependent on the prison authorities and the way in which they allow or sometimes make it more difficult for consular staff to get in and get access. But we really, and I appreciate your experience, but we really mustn't underestimate the importance of consular access. It shines a spotlight on people and I think there is good evidence to show that it helps prison authorities be aware that the UK government is looking out for the welfare of somebody. Yeah. So it is by far from perfect, but it is one of the jewels in the crown, I think, as a British citizen, that you can and should try and get that support as much as you can.
When you look at the numbers of people who are being arrested at the moment, and as we said, it is the majority at the moment are on drug offences. Through your charity, have you noticed any sort of common behaviour or common reason why these particular people have taken the risks that they've taken? Is there, is there one thing that they've told you, like, oh, I wasn't expecting X, or I was groomed by Y, or I was, I didn't think it was that big a deal, I was told that by, Z? Have you been able to be, so that you can give advice to people and say, look, these are the traits, watch out for this. Look, it's not enough to know that it's illegal, but look, these are the traits you should be looking out for.
I think it is still quite early to say, because many of these cases, although have been happening over the last few months, the people are still very much caught up in it. They're in prison. It's hard to get, reliable information about what's going on there, because communication is often very difficult. There are challenges in getting honest communications, because prisons monitor that, and so the ability for people to be open and honest is a challenge. So I think it is really important to hear from those individuals in time to understand what's going on. But I do think our data is showing that Thailand seems to be a bit of a hub in which many spokes are coming off in terms of where people are finding themselves in. We had 50 cases related to drugs coming out of Thailand since April of last year.
Wow.
They now find themselves in about half of those are in prisons in Europe. There are people in Asia, South America, the Middle East, Africa. So it does feel like that is something there is something wider going on. I think we need to take a step back and make sure that, like you were saying, people that are traveling abroad, and particularly to Thailand, are traveling aware of these risks and aware of the consequences. It is really important that people recognize that the laws in other countries can be particularly challenging and different to the UK. And if you think the prison conditions in the UK are not great, then some of the conditions in parts of the world are, quite frankly, horrific.
And it takes 5 minutes, doesn't it, to read the laws of it. There's all sorts of advice on government websites. If you're going, like I said, even to Saudi Arabia or to Singapore, don't take vapes. Or if you're going to Saudi Arabia, don't take antibiotics, or whatever drugs it is you're not allowed to take, codeine, I think. So just make yourself aware of those very basic laws. Yes, you can't drink, you can't do this, you can't do that, before you go anywhere.
Yes, absolutely. The UK government has really detailed travel advice pages for countries all around the world. It might not be the top of the list for people when they're planning travel abroad, but it absolutely should be on that list, because there are some really surprising laws.
Very strange, yeah.
That people do, unintentionally get themselves caught up in.
Yeah, indeed. And also with your mobile phone going even into America now, be very careful. It's very interesting to talk to you, Christopher. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Christopher Stacey, the CEO of Prisoners Abroad. I'm going to take a very quick break, but I will be back in just a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is indeed Talk, and I am Petrie, and we're giving you the chance to win FIFA Club World Cup final tickets. Yes, we are. Thanks to our friends at DAZN. Here's everything that you need to know.
Hello! Look who it is, it's me, Andy Goldstein. And here at TalkSport, we're gearing up for the Club World Cup in the United States. And to celebrate, we've got 2 tickets to the final in New York on July the 13th to give away. We're going to sort out the flights, we're going to sort out the accommodation, and we're going to give you £5,000 spending money to spend however you want. How about that?
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, all you have to do to enter is text the word football to 83338. Do that by the 13th of June at 11 p.m, and that's it, you're done, you're in the draw. A text will cost £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have bill payer's permission, or you can just send your name and number by post to Club World Cup final prize draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, and it must arrive by 5 p.m. on the 18th of June.
This is a TalkSport limited competition run on TalkSport Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
So don't miss out on that incredible giveaway, thanks to our friends at DAZN. Now, phone in, that's coming up at midnight, and I want to know if you have ever got into trouble abroad. Any sort of legal trouble abroad. Maybe you were even arrested. Maybe you were held in a cell overnight somewhere in the world. I want to know what that experience was like for you. I'm not expecting you to call me and tell me that you were arrested and put in a Turkish jail or done for drugs. But I mean, if you were, it would be great if you could give me a call. But I'd love to hear from you about what it's actually like, what help you got, how it felt when you were arrested in a foreign country, and also if you weren't arrested in a foreign country but somebody you know was arrested in a foreign country. I want to hear your story about that. I will fill you in on the details of what happened to my son. It was an incredibly serious charge. You can imagine how I felt when I heard it, but it wasn't true, and I'll explain all of that later. But it was terrifying. I genuinely thought, well, that's it. I'm just going to have to sell my property, get all the money out of it, and spend it all on legal fees, trying to make sure that my son had a fair trial. But I wasn't even being overly dramatic, I promise you. But I managed to sort it all out and get it all dealt with. But it was terrifying. So if you've ever been through that on behalf of somebody else, I'd love to hear from you on that as well. So please give me a call. I'd love to hear your stories. 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but I do call you back. Oh, not me, my team. And you can text the word talk and your message to 87222, or use the same number, the 0344 499 1000, to send a WhatsApp or even a short voice note, which we will play out a little bit later. Quick break, back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good evening. This is Talk and it is Petrie with you. And it's time to look at some entertainment news with the adorable Lottie Hume, a senior reporter at The Sun. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Hope you're well.
I'm very well. It is lovely to see your face. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Right, let's start with Jessie J.
I know, it's not the nicest of news for Jessie J. So today she revealed that she'd been diagnosed with breast cancer and she's set to undergo surgery in days. So she's 37 years old. She shares a son with basketball player Channing Coleman, but today she did an Instagram video where she kind of opened up on what's happened. She was emotional. She said, "I was diagnosed with early breast cancer. Cancer sucks in any form, but I'm holding on to the word early." And she said that she's going to be undergoing surgery after performing at the Summertime Ball in London on June the 15th. So she explained that after that she'd take kind of a period away where she would obviously be dealing with her surgery. And, you know, she said that she's opened up publicly about this diagnosis for various reasons. One, because she said selfishly, I don't talk about it enough, but also because she said she's not processing it because she's working so hard. And, you know, she said that sharing things in the past have really helped her. So yeah, it's a really tough time for Jessie. She's had so much support from fans and from friends and fellow celebrities in the comments. And, you know, Jessie's always been very open about her health. She last year opened up about OCD and an ADHD diagnosis, which she said were highlighted after she became a mum. So yeah, I think was shocking news for a lot of people, but hopefully her surgery goes well and she makes a very swift recovery.
It's good. I mean, I think it's always good when celebrities, particularly young women like Jessie J, because a lot of young women perhaps think that breast cancer is something that older women get. Yes. I mean, certainly, you know, as an older woman, I get my mammograms regularly. I'm invited for mammograms regularly, and all of those things. So I'm very much breast cancer aware. And some of my girlfriends in my age group have you know, had breast cancer. And so we're all more, I think as you get older, you're more aware of it. But it is so good because young women do, and men as well, do get breast cancer. So I think when somebody like Jessie J, who is gorgeous and glamorous and famous and all of those things, comes out and says, look, this was spotted in me, maybe younger women are going to be a little bit more, oh, is that a lump? I know I'm only in my 20s or my 30s, but I should perhaps go and get it checked.
100%. I think it's really prevalent on social media. It's one of the positives of social media, I think, is younger people and celebrities are obviously sharing their diagnosis with breast cancer. And do you know what? It definitely makes me think about it so much more, you know, getting checked and all this. So, it's a positive takeaway, definitely, from the story.
Yeah, I mean, and I do appreciate, because she didn't have to tell people, but I do appreciate it when they do. Let's turn our attention now to another adorable woman, Holly Willoughby. It's so weird that I don't think she's got a show at the moment.
She doesn't have a show at the moment for the first time, not having a prime time kind of ITV show, first time in 20 years.
Wow.
And you know what, Holly, I think she's brilliant, but I feel like she's just maybe not having the best time of it at the moment. She's obviously been in this massive budget Netflix series called Bear Hunt, but it's been axed after just one series. I was really surprised to learn this. I watched it briefly on Netflix. I didn't really get into it. It's just, I couldn't really get into it at all, but I think a lot of people did. It had massive, you know, draw on social media, a lot of people talking about it, but she was starring in it alongside Bear Grylls, but the decision not to recommission it has come as a series of like last ditch production meetings where cost-cutting measures were discussed. So, you know, someone said that everyone involved is gutted. They love the format. It hit the targets from the streaming side. So it wasn't actually like people weren't tuning in. But it was obviously more towards like the financial side of things and, you know, the overall travel cost, insurance, securing the big name talent, because there were so many big names that the first series. But what I found absolutely fascinating was, so a lot of people are saying that Holly should have been given more airtime when she was on it, but according to reports, she earned the equivalent of £40,000 per minute when she was on air, which is just huge. That is a massive
do you not? I'm on that. I mean, obviously.
That's obviously what you're on. So, you know how big it is. It's just amazing.
It's do you know, it's all right. But yeah, I mean, look, the thing is with Holly, and the world of broadcasting in any form is utterly brutal. You and I both, anybody who's in the line of work that we're in knows how brutal this business really is. And I think to a degree, because Holly was the queen of daytime on that, and wasn't going to go anywhere, that perhaps she didn't suffer what everybody else goes through who's in this business, right? Where you're in one minute, out the next, budget cuts, this, that and the other, always looking over your shoulder. And is learning it quite late in her career that it's brutal. It doesn't matter if you're good, it doesn't matter if you're gorgeous, it doesn't matter if you're successful.
No matter who you are.
Or who you are. If that axe is going to fall, it is going to fall. It is not a meritocracy in any way, shape or form.
Absolutely.
I just hope that television hasn't moved on from Holly, because you've got people like Alison Hammond now, who's bringing a different spirit to television and to radio. She's on everything, right? And I don't blame her. Do it all, and because she's been in the business long. She's like, I'm going to take this money while it's on offer because it won't last. But
it's Holly though, isn't it? Because I feel like with Bear Hunt, it was like her first foray into something a little bit different. It wasn't daytime. It was this Netflix, fun Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's not really worked. And so I do agree with you. It's like, where does she really go next?
Where do you go next? I mean, somebody will be going, oh, look, it's Holly Willoughby. We'll get her. But I think she's got to choose very carefully the next thing. I mean, presumably she'll still be doing Dancing on Ice or that.
She's not, no.
Oh, is she not?
Dancing on Ice has been axed, so it's...
Oh, blimey.
That's the
not
thing.
good,
There's
is
not
it?
really much going on, and it's kind of been one after the next. This morning she obviously left, I think it was last year, wasn't it? And then Dancing on Ice is now gone. And now this. So, yeah. It has gone, hasn't it? God, I need to double check that now, but no.
Do you know what? I think she'll be all right. I think she's got some savings. Her husband is very high up as a producer. I think she'll be all right. But she gets to spend this time with her kids, which I know she loves. But it would be a shame to lose her. I think she's got to find something grown up now.
Yeah. Something a bit different.
Yes,
exactly.
Something a little bit different. Good luck to her, that's what I say. She really is a very nice person. Britain's Got Talent is that still going? Blimey. The final of it sparks more Ofcom complaints. They get complaints every year. Don't tell me it's about what the ladies were wearing.
The sexy revealing dresses have done it again, and I feel like, why are we that surprised? But Britain's Got Talent, I did watch a little bit of it this time. We had a magician win. He was good. He was hit by a lot of fix rumours, but sadly for the talent, the attention in the week after the show and the final has been taken off them, because obviously the show's been hit by a flurry of Ofcom complaints. A lot of people saying that Alicia Dixon and Amanda Holden, who are obviously two of the judges, were far too sexy for a family-friendly show. So the majority, I think it was 96 Ofcom complaints in total. 72 of those were to do with what Amanda and Alicia were wearing. I saw what Amanda was wearing, and I understand it a little bit. It was kind of a plunging number. Alicia, I'm not so sure. She seemed very kind of covered up, and I thought she looked great. I thought they both looked great. But when I went to a press kind of preview of Britain's Got Talent this year, all the judges were there, and Amanda said that she was ready to do some thigh splits, get the cleavage out. She knows exactly what she's doing.
That's not by accident. That is, no, that's column inches, isn't it? And look, let's face it, her body is amazing.
They look great. Yeah, she looks great. Why not?
Yeah, I just think that people are a little bit of killjoy. So what? They're sat behind a desk most of the time. It doesn't. To switch it off if you don't like it. Why complain? It annoys me. It just annoys me. This is strange, though. I was reading about this earlier. Arnie Schwarzenegger has shocked fans with a weird and creepy remark about seeing his son Patrick naked on screen.
Absolutely. I mean, so it's never fun, is it? I assume when your parents are watching you naked on on a TV show, but this is what's happened for poor Patrick Schwarzenegger. He was one of the leading actors in HBO's hit drama The White Lotus recently. He's kind of skyrocketed to fame since then. But him and his father, Arnold Schwarzenegger, needs no introduction. They sat down for Variety's Actors on Actors series, and they kind of spoke about Arnold watching his son on the show naked. Now, quite a strange response. So he said, what did he say? So he said, I'm watching your show, and then I was watching your butt stick out, and all of a sudden I saw the weenie. I'm so sorry, Petrie. What's going on here? This is crazy. So this was Arnold's reaction. And obviously Patrick was completely gobsmacked. Fans were completely gobsmacked.
I don't think it's weird and creepy. I think it's just a parent trying to pay back all the embarrassment. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that's creepy.
It's when I listen to it in his voice. That's
I tell you what, I was really laughing at our strap on that. I thought that was, whoever wrote that strap is absolute genius. I'll be crack.
I'll be crack. I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's absolutely brilliant.
That is so good. I don't normally see them because I'm usually looking down the barrel of the camera, but I actually managed to read that one. I thought that was extremely funny. Anyway, let's move on from that very quickly, because this is sort of my era of being in love. Aha. Morten Harket has revealed he's got Parkinson's. What age is he? Is he 60?
He's 65.
Yeah,
he's
not. Oh God.
So he's not old. He's so he's spoken about it today. He said, I've got no problem accepting the diagnosis. Part of me wanted to reveal it, and acknowledging the diagnosis wasn't a problem. It's my need for peace and quiet to work that has been stopping me. And he said he's trying his best to make sure that his entire system from going into decline. But just a couple of comments that he made was kind of about his singing. And this is one of the really sad parts, is he said, I don't feel like singing, and for me that's a sign. I'm broad-minded in terms of what I think works. I don't expect to be able to achieve full technical control. The question is whether I can express myself with voice, and as things stand now, that's out of the question. So I think he does have he can still drive his boat and do things, because what he did was he underwent neurosurgical procedures where electrodes were implanted inside both of his parts of his brain, which meant many of his physical symptoms practically vanished. But he's saying he just has no interest in kind of singing. And
those electrodes are amazing. They can stop the shaking. Yeah, I once, when I was very much younger, Lottie, I worked on a video, an AHA video in Paris.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I was so excited. It was the best time. I mean, when I say I worked on it, I think I was the runner. You know, I mean, I was very junior, but they were lovely, really, really nice boys. Lottie, thank you so much. Gorgeous to see you. See you very soon, I hope. Lottie Hume, the senior reporter at The Sun.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi there, and a good evening to you. This is Talk, and it's Petrie. And coming up at the top of the hour is Claire Muldoon. She will be with us to go through the papers for Thursday. But right now, Vicky Mitzi joins us, journalist, broadcaster, and host of You Didn't Let Me Finish podcast. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Petrie. I'm in the shed tonight.
You're looking very summery in the shed.
Yes, it's lovely and cool.
Yeah, lovely. And we're wearing the same colour practically, so we've got the memo. That's brilliant. We don't need to say any more than that.
We're tuned in.
We're tuned in. Tell me about the Adam Buxton podcast.
Have you listened to him?
No.
He's one half of Adam and Joe. Have you seen them?
Oh, yes, I have, yeah.
I wasn't really a particular fan of them. Then his podcast came along and it brought me to know him through the podcast. He's a bit of a legend. He does his own thing. It's a lovely little podcast. He goes out with his dog Rosie, and I say little podcast. It's a hit podcast. It's a massive podcast. And what I'm trying to do is throw in these biggies, and then along with a few smaller and sort of independent. So he's a funny guy. He's a nice guy, and he has great guests. He has Miriam Margolyes, who does the rounds on podcasts, but she does the swearing and she does everything she needs to do and tells it from the heart. And they connect. He's an honest storyteller as well. He's a kind of a good guy, and that really comes across. He's no nonsense, but he's funny too, and the conversations are frank and quite candid. He doesn't bear too much, so he keeps himself in work, but he does his own live shows, and he's got his own kind of shtick that he does. But the podcast is a good solid listen, and it's it's not rubbish quality, and we like that as well.
We like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I now that I see his face, I know exactly who he is, and I do like him. I think he's very funny.
He makes his own jingles, Petrie.
Does he? He's a bit of an anorak then as well. I like that. So that's the Adam Buxton podcast. Dan Snow, you can't go wrong with Dan Snow.
You really can't, can you?
Really can't. No, he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
He is good, and if you listen to it, it does what it says. Basically, he is as he is on the screen. He's clear that it's well scripted, it would be well done, and he's got great guests. He's got the learned professor so-and-so giving the bits of history that you want, and he does his scripting in a very paced way. It's quite interesting to listen to. There's no bells and whistles. There are a few little sound effects, and there are describers which place you at the Battle of Okinawa or out with Genghis Khan when they're doing one of their rampages. But what I quite like is that you can I thought I'd bring you a little bit of history in your pocket to impress your friends with down the pub. Because you can learn quite a good deep dive.
Yeah, no, and he has a way of disseminating history that is very, very listenable. It's very easy to digest. I do like the way he does it, and this is right up my street. I mean, I read books on wars and history all the time, mostly on defence. But just looking at that D-Day to Berlin, I mean that's me. That's got me written all over.
I didn't know. I thought I might be boring you with these history selections.
No. You should see my book collection. People look at that and go, "Really? Is that what you read?"
I'd like to know now. Yeah. I'm intrigued.
Things like what's going on in Russia and who will defend Europe and why China is the way it is, and the history of shipping around the world.
Dan Snow's for you with this one.
Yeah,
really, some impressive facts in there, and then the little describe. You find yourself sort of in northern Iraq, and then they'll describe the kind of beautiful landscapes of a place where we see the news footage and it's not looking so hot. Yeah. But you see the other side of the coin a bit, and they were talking about. One of them was about the Vasco da Gama, the sort of 14th, 15th century of all these people kind of going out on boats and finding new things, and just seriously, if you didn't get scurvy or you didn't
awful.
hit the bottom of the sandbank, I think it is, that they would hit on a regular basis, and then you sort of turn up somewhere and, just hideous, really hideous.
I mean,
conditions.
really.
You keep saying, who would do this?
Who would do it? Indeed, no. That is definitely up my street. That's definitely going on my list. The stories of Mahabharata. I hope I said that right.
Well said. I didn't know if I could either.
Mahabharata, a serialised storytelling of the ancient epic of India. I mean, this sounds interesting to me as well.
Yes, and it's told by an award-winning playwright, Sudipta Bhaumik, and it's the narration and the sound effects are very well placed. You really feel that you're in the Vedas, if you will. You're experiencing these tales, which are, they're narratives to guide people morally, and at the same time there's quite a lot of eyebrow raising moments, and when you kind of question the status of women at the time when they were begging people to marry them because they were worried about how they stood, and then one man wouldn't marry one of these royals, and then she had to go and beg someone else, and then she lost it, and then it all gets quite messy.
Wow.
It's about the kind of royal tales, and they narrate the events of the Kurukshetra war and the succession of this royal family. So it's a lot of what you'd expect from the dramas of that. Quite hair-raising stuff in parts. And
yeah,
the language
I don't know an awful lot about the history of India, actually. I've always done sort of war-torn areas, so I'm really interested in that sort of stuff. I'm really getting old. I'm just getting into history now.
Oh, but this is storytelling. I wanted to bring you some storytelling today.
That's brilliant. And if you learn something along the way, it's even better.
Yes, and the language of tradition and folk and the mysticism that the scriptures bring with them as well. That these are apparently the more accessible ones. A slight note that they can be windy roads of tales, and that the idea is that the tales need to be told and not stopped, because otherwise that's the end of it all. So they are journeys of stories which are quite mythical and a little bit crazy in part. So I quite like that.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. Certainly, definitely one for a long car journey, probably, actually.
Yes.
What about the anxious generation?
I was wondering if you'd heard of, because the Messy podcast is the platform for this, and you have to forgive the format a bit, because it's a little bit, the narrators are, well, what do you think of that? Well, let me tell you. It's kind of that type of thing. But if you can get past that, it's a very interesting topic, the great rewiring of the new generations who are growing up glued to their phones and what it's doing to them psychologically. I'm a bit skeptical of shoving in, how to bring kids up podcasts, but this one I found interesting from a sociological, anthropological perspective in what it really does to your brain, and that it's got a lot of numbers in it and a bit of doom and gloom, but it makes you stand back and realize your own use of your devices. And as it says, it's anxious generation. There are findings of the kids who became the first kids with these front-facing cameras to be able to sort of record their narrative, if you will, in pictures. And it's not achieving the greatest happiness, and it's that versus going out and playing in the street like I used to, you probably used to, but not anymore.
I mean, look, it is interesting because it's got to be making a significant difference, I would have thought, to children's upbringing, because like you're saying, Vicky, I mean, we were kicked out of the house and had adventures and probably behaved not exceptionally well, but it builds resilience and it builds a different character. What are we going to end up with these generations coming through? I'm filming a live podcast on Saturday, Vicky.
Are you?
I've never done that before.
Are you looking forward to it?
No. Terrified.
Why not?
I'm doing it. It's a crime con. I don't know if you've heard of crime con.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I'm one of the, like, they've got me down as a speaker, but I'm not a speaker. I'm doing a podcast there, yeah, it's called Crime Suspect, and I'm interviewing a forensic psychologist. I'm fascinated in the topic, but there's going to be actual people watching me, so wish me luck.
Oh, it'll be brilliant. You'll be brilliant, because that's what we need. We need more of this.
Well, look out for it.
I wish I had more of a run-up. I would have made it along. Where's CrimeCon?
Well, listen, I just wanted to share that with you because it's a bit scary. But Vicky Mitzi, thank you so much. A journalist, broadcaster and host of You Didn't Let Me Finish a podcast. Papers next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Petrie here with you, and joining me, I'm delighted to say, is Claire Muldew.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Do I smell? Is that why you're not with me?
Oh, no, it's because the last twice, we've been at each other's
We
throats,
have been
so
fighting. Yeah.
Gabriella thought it was safe just to keep us apart tonight.
A bit of time out.
But
A little bit of time out for us. Listen, before we get to the papers, I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but there seem to be a lot more British people abroad getting arrested for drug smuggling. And I just thought, maybe it's just because there's lots of 50. The number of Brits getting arrested overseas for drug smuggling has gone up 53% in a year.
And to think it used to be budgie smuggling that you've done for, it's just horrific.
It's just horrific, isn't it? But what do you make of stories? Like, you look at stories, and then they haven't been found guilty. The three that are up for, on charges of drug smuggling, and they could face the death penalty. But do you have any sympathy for the situation?
None whatsoever. In fact, the picture of three of them, I think it was in Bali, with their red waistcoats on, it's as if they'd gone to a burger joint and they were working there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And whilst it's no laughing matter, drugs in these countries are so prevalent and they destroy so many lives at point of, exit from the country, getting there, notwithstanding the ones that they're using as mules. And they themselves, I'm sorry, I don't have, very much sympathy with them at all, to say that, I didn't know anything about it and someone, got into my luggage and it doesn't wash with me. We just even need to look at the Bridget Jones's videos, for heaven's sake, Petrie. This has been going on for years, and it has to stop. And I'm sorry, if you're stupid enough, and I don't even care if you're desperate enough, you just don't do things like that. You're putting everyone at danger, notwithstanding yourself.
Do you think that, because obviously the British consul and diplomacy and all of those things, and we probably spend quite a lot of money helping these people out. Are you of the mind that if you do the crime in a country, I don't care if
you do the time,
and it doesn't matter about the conditions they're in, even if they're inhumane conditions?
No, it doesn't, because at the point, just as I expect, unless we've got an extradition treaty with some countries for some heinous crimes, then in Britain, if you do the crime in Britain, you should do the time. If you are, if you're able to do it, if we are able to keep you, but again, it's at taxpayers' expense. But to extradite someone, that's been horrifically, Shamima Begum can't get back into the country. Right, she is persona non gratis at the moment because of what she has done in terms of treason, in my view. But these people who are going into these countries, often underdeveloped countries, to cause such devastation, rape and pillage for the use of drugs and being a mule, and notwithstanding, what if these drugs were to come back into this country? The devastation that it would wreak, and you just wouldn't get any. There's just no benefit. Drugs are just evil. And if you're going to do the crime, you do the time. I don't care if it's in those inhumane conditions. I really don't.
Have you ever known anybody, not drugs, but have you ever known anybody being arrested overseas or get into trouble overseas?
No, I haven't actually. I don't know anyone, surprisingly.
Actually, you do.
But that was when you were.
I was kind of arrested in Russia, but I wasn't jailed. But no, my son.
Your son that loves me more than he loves you.
Yeah, that one.
That son.
That one. Yeah.
What happened to him then?
He got arrested on a very serious charge when he was on holiday with the lads when he was 18, and got thrown into a jail. Yeah.
Good grief.
I know.
That must have been a horrific call for you to
It was, because he was 18, Claire, they wouldn't tell me anything.
No.
I just got a phone call saying that your son won't be coming back on the plane. And I was like, well, why? We can't tell you. Well, tell me something. Well, it's the police.
Well, what happened, Petrie?
And the worst 4 days of my life. They probably weren't that great for him either. But no, it was a very serious charge. He was arrested at gunpoint by the Spanish police, and was facing attempted murder.
Good grief!
Can you imagine when I heard that from the lawyer? I was like, what?
Just as well you know your son, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. I mean, can you imagine anything he'd know was a burger?
Seriously, not.
No. I mean, basically what had happened was one of his friends, the lads, lads' holiday, and they were staying in quite a posh area, and because they were quite sort of posh and dramatic boys. I wasn't that keen on the idea, but anyway, one of the guys had got really, really drunk, fallen down some stairs. Somebody found him, and they picked it and said, they got ambulance and all that kind of thing. And he said, they tried to kill me while he was drunk and out of his head. So the police go marching into the villa that they're staying at, gunpoint, arrested two of my son and his best mate. And that was what the charge was. I mean, as soon as he woke up, got sober, but then he went straight home. So they had to track him down for him to withdraw. Oh no, it wasn't attempted murder at all. It was just that I fell over drunk. But it was 4 days.
How long was he in? 4 days.
First of all, they put him in a local jail, and then he went to a big jail, proper grown-up man's jail where they left the lights on all day and night and threatened him.
What then was the effect on your son after that? Weirdly, ironically, whatever.
Yeah,
there must have been a lesson learned.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I think now he sees it as a great story. I mean, because he knew what was happening to him. I didn't, and in a way, being the person at home was, I think, harder. I mean, it was like when I was a war correspondent. The people at home were more worried about my safety than because I knew I was safe at the time. So it was a kind of a flip. But he, I mean, when I went to pick it, when I first spoke to him, when he was able to get, because they wouldn't let him use the phone for 3 days. They, 3 or 4 days until the last day.
Now, let's get some timeline in this perspective. Then this must have been.
It was when he was 18.
Yeah. So this is what, 8 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was very 8 to 10 years ago. So yeah, obviously he was very emotional when he first spoke to me, and everything had been sorted, which cost me thousands in almost, not quite bribes, but in smoothing the path.
More than dos cervezas.
Thousands. The lawyer was saying, look, I know the judge. He needs a new set of golf clubs, and they'll cost X amount. I'm not joking. It was so bent. It was ridiculous. That wasn't to get them to drop the charges because they'd already been dropped, but that was to get them to speed up with the paperwork so that he wasn't in the jail for any longer than he had to be. So he was quite emotional then. But now he's like, oh yeah, I've been in jail. Yeah. I mean, you've met him. You know what he's like.
I do. Of course I have.
He thinks it's a great story now. I need to give him the bill, really. Thousands of. I tell you what, golf clubs in Spain are really expensive.
I bet they are.
Yeah, they really are.
And those thousands of beers, those cervezas, there's cerveza, claro.
But oh my God! And the lawyer. I've never met more of a weird man in my life. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But again, a little bit, a bit of money here. If you could pay the police this and get a little bit of money there.
Really?
I'm not joking. That's Spain. But anybody who's listening who's ever been arrested in Spain will bear me out on this. They will bear me out.
What was the cell like that he was in? Incarcerated
in the proper big jail. He said it was awful. It was really, really horrible. So I think at the time it was clearly terrifying because he didn't know that I was pulling every string and doing everything I could to try.
You were Mr. Darcy then,
sorting out the problem. I mean, I was even on air. I was doing a radio show at a different radio station, and I was expecting phone calls from the lawyer asking for more money because it was all about. It was all about the cash. And so I had my producer sitting in the control room with all of my bank cards in front of her. And I said, and my mobile phone. I said, if that mobile phone rings, you answer it and you give them whatever money they want. And I was presenting a show. And I was having to sort of do my show while I was going. And every break, it was like, Did they call? No. And I got the call when I left the studio, actually.
Gosh, Petrie Hosken, Money Heist, Bridget Jones, and the rest.
It was horrific. I can't tell you. I mean,
I can't wait to see him now for him to regale his side of it.
Yeah, wait, and you'll know exactly what I mean when you talk to him about it. So I get what it's like on the other side of that. That it must be the friends, family, and parents of these people.
Petrie,
must
you knew that he was innocent.
Oh yeah,
like you knew that there was no way in this air that he's capable of anything like that.
No.
But I'm sorry, these numpties that go to these far-flung places in Asia or wherever, they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they really do.
Yeah, I am like you. I must say that I had I have a similar reaction as you do, and I think a lot of people do. Is kind of like, look, if you do the crime, you do the time. It's not like it's a secret. right? Smuggling
No.
drugs. I mean, anywhere is got to be a bad idea, right? It's just got to be. And the people who I feel sorry for are the mules that are, where their children are
Trafficked,
where
slaved.
they're trafficked and they're slaves,
With
and their
no
children
choice.
are kidnapped, and they've got no voice, and they're told to carry these drugs inside their body, and they die.
I know, that's just awful.
And all of that. But when you're willingly putting them in your suitcase, or potentially into an Angel Delight packet.
No. I can't stand this stuff.
We used to eat it all the time when we were kids. Did you not? Butterscotch.
Well, the butterscotch one was nice, but
Nice.
I've got memories of butterscotch in the butterscotch coloured Tupperware.
Yeah. Nice.
with the fluted bum to it, for want of a better word. And you didn't actually know when the butterscotch pudding ended and the Tupperware began.
Yeah, but at least it wasn't cocaine in there, Claire. I mean,
At least. We were talking Glasgow at the time. You could buy them off the ice cream vans in those days.
Oh my God. I mean, Angel. Was it Angel Delight, or was it something called Instant Whip? Was there another one called Instant Whip?
Yeah.
It was all 70s food. So you'd have your Findus crispy pancakes first, and then Angel Delight from pudding, and it was just E numbers on a plate. It was just horrendous. Anyway, let's have a look at the papers. I've got the Washington Post in front of me here.
Yeah,
a couple of interesting stories here. Musk labels Trump's tax measures an abomination. Strong words. Who knew that those two would fall out?
Well, the funny thing was, and I saw a really funny tweet by Armando Iannuccio the other day, and I think he's just one of the best writers
brilliant.
ever. In the loop, the thick of it. Such good, and the death of Stalin as well. He's just fantastic. Educated in Glasgow, from Glasgow. What can I say? He had lots of Angel Delight, but he put out a tweet saying, "I told you it will only last 30 days or something, or you'll be out in 3 months." Yeah. And of course it was, and he had bookmarked that tweet and he retweeted that. But subsequently I've actually learned that it was only for 3 months in any event. Yeah, I think he had another 30 days that he could have done. So that's it. It was 135 days or 125 days or something like that. So he couldn't, because he was a special advisor, he wasn't allowed to do any more days than that. But he is now speaking out against. I wonder if he's trying to save his reputation. I think, the messages, the optic from the Oval Office, the White House at the moment, anyway, for what Musk's behaviour. There was, there's reporting that he was taking drugs on a daily basis in the White House. Yeah, the New York Times has done a huge, they've brought receipts. They've got the proof as well. They've got, you just have to look at him to see he was in trouble the other day in the Oval Office with the black eye. Yeah, so there's a lot of issues going on there. I'm for one, not happy he's not there. I think it was very much riding the crest of the Trump wave, of MAGA, of everything. Get the richest man in the world on board. There's no denying he's very clever. I don't particularly like the man. I don't find him, I don't find his character endearing, warming. He wouldn't be at my Last Supper if I ever were to have one. And he wouldn't even be at my dinner table for dinner. For Angel Whip. Don't mention Whip or Angel Delight. I think he's already had enough of that. He would see that in a completely different way. Yeah. So no, I'm not surprised that we're now starting to see a schism between the two camps, because that indeed is what they are. Yeah, and I think they've possibly got what they wanted off each other. It was transactional. It wasn't. That's the word I was just about to say. It was a transactional relationship. Transactional. Yeah. And it's very much, as I said, riding on that crest. Yeah. Riding on this second POTUS term. And filling their boots. But I'll tell you who's making money out of it is Elon Musk's father. He's doing the rounds, old Errol.
Isn't he? What an unpleasant character.
I agree with you.
What
I
an
really
unpleasant
do
man.
agree with me.
Yeah. There's nothing, I mean...
redeeming.
No, I can't even, he gives me the... but yeah, you're right, he's making a lot of... What a shock that their relationship might be transactional too.
Yeah, well, very much so.
Yeah. Another couple of interesting stories, if I may. The Kennedy Center sees sales drop. This is after Trump announced that he was going to be the head of the Kennedy Center. But this isn't just a small drop in ticket sales. This is a huge drop in money for the Kennedy Center. And this has been released privately and secretly, if you like, anonymously, because they understand that this information can be seen in a bad light. What do you make of that?
Well, I think there's quite a lot to unpack here. There's a lot going on across the pond. There's a lot of money being redistributed. There's a lot of money that has to go back into the economy. Shares have tanked. Conglomerates have tanked. You've got the big meta, the cities are crumbling. That America really has to, I think, seize the day with Trump. But this whole Kennedy thing, it's just so murky. Really, really murky.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know too much about it, but I just think that, is it all linked to the Kennedy name? Is it all linked to?
No, it's an art. It's basically an art centre, I suppose, like the National. This is people who pay subscriptions to be members of the Kennedy Center, so they can go and see shows there. They can go and see galleries there. They can go and do that. And since Trump said he was taking over as the head of that, the subscriptions have dropped by 2.6 million or something like that.
That's not really surprising, though, is it? Because those that are engaged with the arts are more likely to be Democrats in votes.
Still, and I also think it's because of the massive hit to tourism that may have an effect on ticket sales as well at the Kennedy Center, because there has been a huge hit.
We were talking about this before my trip, remember, to New York, that I dialed in for your Hogmanay show. And when back in the day when we were younger and we went to New York, everything was free. You didn't need to book tickets for museums. You didn't need to book it. You could just go in. The art was free, right? And now when you go there, you have to book in advance. There's only, if you live in the state of New York itself, you can go with you can get free access. But those out of state, and those tourists, you need to pay. And they're really quite expensive to go to and to view art that was made for everyone to enjoy. And I think maybe a throwback from that as well, that people just now don't have the disposable income. But I think that is tagged to the fact that those involved with the arts are generally more democratic and more left-leaning.
The problem is that there's been various quotes on the loss of tourism to the United States since January, and it's looking like it might cost them $100 billion this year, because people are afraid of what's going to happen to them at the borders. Should we take a break? Let's take a break, Muldoon. Back in a sec.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is...
Hello there, good to have your company, and we are joined by Claire Muldoon, who is looking fabulous. I've just sent you a message saying that. You haven't seen it on your phone.
I haven't seen it.
No, well, there you go.
Because I'm actually using my phone now.
Oh, are you? Why hasn't it popped up then? Anyway,
because I've got it all on silence because we have to bow to Queen Petrie.
Yes, you do. But you do look fabulous. I just wanted to let you know.
Very kind of you.
Right, the Times. Let's have a look at that. Putin has revenge on his mind. I mean, no sugar Sherlock, right? I mean that audacious bombing by Ukraine. Which one day will be a movie, is of course it's going to annoy Putin, and also Ukraine bombed the bridge, which is Putin's pride and joy between Russia mainland and Crimea.
Also, on that, I don't know if this has been verified or not, but the Russian embassy put out a tweet saying Britain is safe. They're not Russia will not hurt the UK or whatever.
But they hate her. I mean, there are always all those pundits there going, "Oh, we're going to send a tidal wave." But anyway, well, that is good news. But there will be retaliation.
It'd actually be interesting to hear what Robert Fox of the Evening Standard wants to, would say about that. Because how I always think that Robert's very, very keen on war. I mean, he is the defence correspondent, but if there was any buttons to push, I think he would be first in line to push them.
I love Robert Fox. He is such a funny old boy.
He is, isn't he?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Not for now, but yeah, he's a nice guy. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting because I was saying the other day that it is known that in Russia they have a clause in not their constitution, but it is known that if a foreign country attacks their nuclear capability, then they allow themselves the right to respond with nuclear. I'm not talking a big world, nuclear bomb, but the tactical weapons, the smaller nuclear weapons, I think is what Ukraine has to fear at this point, because I think that will be their retaliation.
But I don't understand why Zelensky gave the okay, and I know this was a mission that had started a good while ago. It was planned to such a level that it was so effective, one, in the Russians not knowing it was going to happen, and two, with the precision in which it actually did. But I thought there was supposed to be a 30-day ceasefire.
No, that was never agreed. No, it was never agreed by Russia. So, a lot of people, and Trump is probably one of them, going, well, you shouldn't have done it. Why are you doing that? But look, what are they meant to do? They are being bombarded and attacked all the time. And this was not a war crime. This was officially just attacking infrastructure, and no civilians were hurt. In fact, I don't think anybody was hurt doing this. This was a clean operation, which is not something you can say about what Russia has been doing, bombing civilian areas. I think that it's very easy to go, oh, you shouldn't have done that. It's going to really annoy Putin. But what do you do when you're at war with a country that will not agree to a ceasefire, and the only terms that they've given is we're going to take all of the land we've got, and there's got to be regime change to a pro-Putin president? I don't think that's a peace deal. I have sympathy for why they did it. Do I wish any of this had happened? No.
Of course not.
But, I think when you're at war and you are being bombarded and you have got no cards and no power to display that you have some cards and some power when it comes to negotiations is probably not a bad thing.
I don't think Zelensky was operating by himself. I think someone somewhere, not only maybe Macron, I think someone knew that this was going to happen. I think,
and interestingly, America didn't.
Yeah,
because they couldn't trust him not to tell.
Absolutely didn't.
They couldn't trust him not to tell Putin, which in itself is a horrendous statement to have to make. But no, I think this was entirely Ukrainian. I mean, I think that probably the coalition was warned that something was going to happen, but I don't think they would have been given any details. This was entirely Ukrainian. It was an extraordinary operation if you've read into it. It's mind-blowing how they did it.
It really is. It really is. And
like,
I think what you said, there'll be a movie made about it. I think you're right.
It'll go down in history as one of the most audacious and brilliantly done operations. It really will.
Also in the Times, though, apparently a smile beats Botox. Did you see that?
Sorry?
It's more attractive.
Have you ever had
Botox? Of course I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Have you got any? Have you got any in now? No, because
none.
None. No, you can see that you're, smiling.
Are you?
No, I didn't. I meant not smiling.
Are you
you're
being
smiling.
cheeky again?
No, I just said you can see because you're able to actually emote.
Yeah.
I know people.
And brown.
And we all know those women in our circle who can't. So, do you? I agree. What do you think of Botox when you used it? Were you happy with it?
Yeah, I was really happy with it. But I always remember dear Eamon Holmes saying there's no wrinkles in the balloon, Claire. And I think that might have been a bit of a double-handed compliment.
That's what Timmy used to always say to me. There's no wrinkles on a balloon. Rude. Absolutely rude. Smiling beats Botox to boost attractiveness. Few transformations are as risky as administered as the lunchtime Botox jab, promising a smoother brow, a fresher face and a subtle lift in social currency. Injectable treatments take just minutes. But if the aim is to be seen to be more attractive, just smile.
I agree. And I actually find people like men who make me laugh and who are funny, that's far more attractive to me.
Way more. I completely agree with you.
Personality.
Yeah, always.
And in fact, there was a debate on one of the news breakfast shows this morning saying that Tinder as a dating app are thinking now of putting height on profiles. So you would go to the height range of those that what you wish. I think that's really a bit sad. Unless you are like a very small man or a very tall woman, then you would need, in my view, the parity. But you might be missing out. Not that I've ever gone on any of this rubbish, and I never ever would. But I think for people out there, you're actually missing a demographic. You're missing the point of
absolutely, because
someone that might be your soulmate.
Yeah, attractiveness actually to me is not visual. It is all about the humour, intelligence, and all of that.
Maybe that's why I'm still single then.
There are no funny men out there.
Yeah.
Well, there are. They just happen to be gay. I don't know. And I love them dearly for it.
It's true.
It is true. Pensioners face a tax hit for the winter fuel U-turn. You don't get anything for nothing from this lot, do you? Rachel Reeves is expected to set out plans next week to restore winter fuel payments and claw them back from millions of better-off pensioners through higher tax bills.
I mean, that's not good. I mean, it's hardly a vote winner, is it?
Not really.
I mean talk about...
Are they going to stop punching themselves in the face? I mean, they don't need Botox. They just punch themselves in the face all the time.
I've said that blooming Rachel Reeves, I mean, she's got such a lack of basic arithmetic. It's beyond me. And I've said, remember when, again, I don't want to hark back to when we were wee, but you could go into Greggs and the people behind the tills didn't have any calculators. They did it all in their head. They were wow. Well, Rachel Reeves would never even get a job in Greggs. She just can't add up. Because it doesn't add up.
I watched her speech this morning. Oh my God. I think about 5 minutes in, I lost the will to live. Yeah, I really did. And you could see the crowd behind them all going, oh God. I think she went on for nearly an hour. I think it was a long it felt like it anyway. It was a long
monotone. They all need elocution lessons as well. Starmer and Rachel Reeves.
Abolity. It annoys me when he goes, we've got the abolity. Abolity. There isn't a U there.
Did you know he was the son of a toolmaker? Did you know his father was a toolmaker? Yes.
He should meet up with Sadiq Khan because his dad was a bus driver, apparently. They got a lot in common, those two. That would be great. Let's take a quick break.
Let's swipe their mobiles, see how it feels.
Let's take a break. Back in a sec.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you, and with us is Claire Muldoon, broadcaster, and we're going through Thursday's newspapers.
So we're heading to the Telegraph.
The Telegraph now, if you don't mind. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of repetition in a couple of the other papers. The Daily Telegraph. Reeves has been forced to drop net zero cuts. Now, this again is punching herself in the face, in my view, because that would be...
And Miliband.
Yeah. Well, no, because he gets to keep it. He gets to keep his plans. And I think that would be a popular one for her to cut, right? In terms of the electorate, if she said, look, we're reducing the amount of money you can spend on net zero, we've got more important things to deal with at the moment. Net zero will have to be extended till 2050 instead of 2030. And that would be a popular move. But
of course
no,
it would be.
Ed Miliband defeated the attempt for her to take money off him.
Well,
it doesn't make sense to me.
It really doesn't make sense to me either, given the fact that Heidi Alexander, which we'll go on to in one of your other front pages, has come up with an initiative and launched today. It's going to cost, £15 billion to improve the infrastructure of the North. They're thinking of reinstating the winter fuel allowance payments for certain pensioners. And
Two-child
benefit. They need to scrap that. The limit on that, and that would cost $35 billion. The increase in defence from 2.8 to 3%, with everyone going to The Hague next week.
We're brave.
I mean, again, I'll ask the question: where is Morgan McSweeney? Where is the comms coming out of Downing Street?
I don't know.
Do they not? I mean, are they just thinking the election must be 4 years down the line? We've got time. We're trying to learn on the job. Do you know what else there is for me? There's absolutely no humility with this government. There's no accountability. There's no putting their hands up, saying, "Look, this is going to be tough. Undeniably, it's going to be tough. Don't blame the Conservatives for 14 years. You were in opposition for 14 years. You had your time, right? You knew all the figures the same way these figures were public. The Conservatives knew them. There was nothing hidden in these figures. You could have sat down, had a round table, got your act together. My goodness me, the cabinet that Starmer has, I could get a better one in IKEA. It is horrific. Absolutely horrific.
I mean, like you're saying, their comms people are absolutely useless.
And on one hand, I think it's quite refreshing not to have everything spun the way that Alistair Campbell used to spin for Tony Blair and Peter Mandelson as well. But
they don't know how to
part
speak.
Of me that think they just don't know how to speak. They don't know how to address the nation.
Exactly.
They don't know how to give any hope. Do you know why that is? There's no leadership. They don't have any leadership.
No, I think he is too weak, because, I mean, even with the defence review, all he did was tell us that this needs to happen, but he didn't tell a story to the British public that they would understand why this is so urgent, why this matters. Because what's going to happen is that they are going to have to tax us more, but at least explain, look, we could really be in big trouble here. This needs to happen. It is a priority. And by saying, look, this is a priority, and what we're going to do with net zero, for example, because we might be at war, for goodness sake, let's just pause that. Let's be realistic about it, and pause that for 20 years. We're still aiming for net zero, but we're not going to do it right now. Or other things, but they don't even talk like that.
And with that as well, they could have said Britain's output is so small on the global stage. We've got the time actually for others to catch us up. They could have sold it that we're doing so well.
Yeah.
That we can actually take a pause on this because we have greater, clear and present dangers that are presenting to us.
Why aren't they doing that? I mean, that I find extraordinary.
They're thick, and I really don't think they care, and I don't think they know how to think.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I'm afraid I'm with you on it, because I've never seen a more inept bunch. And I mean, even today during this yawningly long, dull, boring speech by Rachel Reeves this morning, there's just nothing being said. There's nothing being added to. There's nothing.
No, there's no meat. There's no meat. They're not giving us a bone. They're just doing nothing. They really aren't. There was another point I was going to make there, but it's gone slightly. And next year. But yeah, this is the point. What have we got to defend? Okay, our birth rates are falling, and our borders aren't even safe. So unless we can defend our borders, what's the point in defending the country?
I said that.
We're not.
I did actually say that yesterday. I said exactly the same thing. Until we can secure our borders, because I was also saying, look, put it this way: if we end up in some kind of altercation or war with Russia. We got boats coming across. How do we know they're not full of Russians with Novichok?
Exactly. Exactly.
There's no point in having missile defence systems if you're letting people into the country that you have no idea who they are and what they're carrying.
We've already had the Bulgarian minions.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And then the Chinese spies.
Yeah.
Infiltrating government.
It's
the Salisbury attack.
Yeah. I exactly that. And they've got to learn how to talk to us.
They're not leaders,
and think, and
I
don't think an extra tram is going to make people go, oh, I'm going to vote Labour, because they're not listening to what the people want. They're not listening to what the public want.
Can we just stay in the Telegraph for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Because I think the headline above that picture of Meghan Markle is the best. You read it out.
Twerk it, baby. Meghan's labour of love.
Isn't that just brilliant for that stupid video that she put out on the anniversary of her daughter's 4th birthday?
I mean, seriously.
What on earth?
What are you trying to do?
When I watched that video, and I thought, well, I've had 4, as you know, I've had 4 children. And I'll tell you, when you're about to give birth, there is nothing more in the world. You certainly are not.
You're not going, woohoo! No, I only had the one, but I certainly remember that much. Hackers steal 100,000 tax records after the HMRC was attacked.
Yeah, 100,000 from HMRC.
Yeah, the authority is thought to have lost £47 million as a result of the breach last year.
And yet, they still maintain in calling bailiffs to people who cannot afford council tax, who might miss a few things, and yet this goes on and on and on. It's despicable. It really, really is. On the flip side, like the Spider lot who infiltrated the M&S's data, I think give all these lads jobs. We need them to defend us.
Yeah, defending our stuff. Exactly that. But hackers stealing 100,000 tax records. HMRC hasn't even come out and said, I'm sorry, or maybe they have contacted the people whose details were stolen, but that is significant. I mean, that is a proper mess, isn't it?
Oh.
Let's have a look at the eye now. So my eyesight isn't my glass. I need to change my prescription, I think, on my glasses, because I looked at the middle flag there where you've got Rachel Reeves and then you've got the football player and Abby Clancy, and I read it as that we're thinking of leaving the city to become fanners. And I was like, what's a fanner? It's farmer. I mean, if you look at the lettering, it is all muddled in. So anyway, that was that. Rachel Reeves was given a £27,000 donation from lobbying firm linked to Thames Water bidder. We know that the water companies have been, all of these private companies have been lobbying. They've taken people out to Crystal Palace, spent £2,000 on tickets and hospitality for certain members of our cabinet and of our political class. It's got to be outlawed, right? This sort of stuff.
Oh, it really has. And water has to be a natural resource that's taken back into public hands.
Absolutely.
That's the only way we're going to get rid of this.
Discussing that yesterday, because it's just a casino now. These water companies, they load on more debt to pay themselves, more debt, pay themselves. It's just taking money out, and nothing's getting done.
It's like a Ponzi system, isn't it? It's like, trying to rob Peter. Yeah, Ponzi. Try to rob Peter to pay Paul, and getting, I want to use an expletive here, in return, literally and metaphorically.
Yes, literally.
You know what I'm saying.
It's a sugar show.
Yeah.
Say it that way. Should we take a break?
Yeah.
Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi there, this is Talk, and it's Petrie with you, and with me is Claire Muldoon, and we're going through Thursday's newspapers. The Metro, Claire, 15 billion to get Britain moving. This is the infrastructure money being paid in the North, West and Midlands. Andy Burnham was certainly very happy about it for Manchester. I'm just not sure it's a vote winner that they think it is.
I think, to be fair, I think because of the white elephant of HS2, they really had to think strongly and very seriously about infrastructure for the North to link it to the South. The BBC as well, have set up Media City in both Manchester and Leeds to a certain extent as well.
And in Birmingham. Yeah.
And I think to link all of this up would be really, really, really good, very, very helpful. Heidi Alexander was saying that she wants to increase links between Liverpool, Manchester, and even up in the northeast side of Sunderland and Newcastle. And having had children at university in Newcastle and in Leeds, I think it would be great, because it's trying to get around Leeds is nigh on impossible if you're in a car, because it's such a one-way system, so many roundabouts, and Manchester as well to a certain extent. And I think to be the large cities of this country, I think it was a real dereliction of duty and care from previous governments not to improve the infrastructure. Funnily enough, Scotland wasn't mentioned, obviously, because that's a devolved power. And if anything, they really need help with their infrastructure too. But I think I applaud it. I thought Heidi Alexander today was very succinct in her view. I thought she seemed to be very capable. And I hope at least this is one thing that will actually come to fruition. And I hope it will actually happen.
I hope that it doesn't turn into another HS2, where because 15 billion wouldn't buy you a 10 feet of the catastrophe that's HS2. So I just hope that actually that money is spent by companies who don't want to charge 100 times on the pound.
They should certainly not be given to Quangos. Yeah, exactly. It is government money. It should not be Quangos set up. There should be checks and balances at
absolutely
every
make sure this money
station.
is spent properly, because we are hopeless at that. We just throw, people go, oh, it's a government contract, oh yeah, it's like a wedding party as opposed to a normal party. They 10 times it because it's government money. So I just hope that 15 billion actually goes as far as it should.
It will be really interesting as well if there's any delay in repay. If the timelines don't come in, then they should be fined for not delivering, just like you do in a train.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I'm just looking around at the papers because I want to pick the papers that I think are the most interesting. The Mirror, just because there's a lot of repeat. Mirror campaign, Glee school meals, some 500,000 more children will get free school meals after a successful Mirror campaign. The PM said, my message to Mirror readers is we will leave no stone unturned to give every child the best start in life.
Well, remove the two-child benefit cap then, Kina, that's all you have to do.
If it's a possibility. If a possibility that they will do that. Yeah, I mean, look, it's sad that so many children need free school meals. If their parents were paid properly, then they perhaps wouldn't.
And as well, with accountability and responsibility of being a parent, they should be able to parent their children. But as I keep saying, this 2017 Osborne light bulb moment of scrapping the two-child, two-child capping, in the hope, he said, to put more parents into work. But in actual fact, all it has done, and it's been proven to have done since 2017, is actually propel 1 in 4 children into poverty.
Yep. Okay, so that's the Mirror. I want to address the Star for Thursday because finally they've done something amusing. They've been really odd, their front pages recently. I've been very, very disappointed. Holy Grail hunt in the UK, and of course they've got what was his name? The actor. From Monty Python's Holy Grail, I can't remember his name, but he was one that played Jesus Christ in that film. But anyway, the Holy Grail, supped by Jesus, is secretly buried in leafy St Albans, according to a documentary maker. Why can't it be there?
Well, who knows? But in a really funny sketch from Omid Djali at the time of the conclave, he said the reason why there'll never be any women priests is because, can you imagine if they went into the St. Peter's Basilica and they went rifling through all the cupboards? I found it! I found it! I found the Holy Grail!
I found it! It was there all the time. But look, it could. The actor is Graham Chapman, of course. Very, very funny. So they got him on the front with the chalice. But apparently the fabled chalice is buried in St Albans. So anybody who's got a garden or some plot of land somewhere, have a dig around. You never know. You might find the most important chalice in the world.
Richard of York was in a car park in Leicester.
In a car park in Leicester. I mean, if that can happen, anything can happen, right?
Imagine if he had sat nav. Stop.
Yeah. I think that is great. I mean, wouldn't that just be amazing? Although many people believe the chalice is figurative, not really a cup, but probably related to Mary Magdalene as the chalice. But I don't know. The Daily Mail, battle lies drawn over immigration. Have you seen this? Yeah. It's more blah blah, right?
Yeah. Keir planning a legal crackdown on migrants expecting the right to choose their family and family life instead of being deported, on the back of, I think it was the Albanian chap who couldn't go back for I don't know.
Yeah, to Albania, where it's a safe country, you know.
Yeah, I know. And then Kemi, of course, pledging to revive Rwanda because, actually, to be fair, I actually think that Rwanda might have been the deterrent that people thought.
Yeah, but there are figures that sort of back that up now.
That was in today's papers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, fine, fair enough. I'll say that there's certainly no deterrent now to a bit of pocket money and
there's
a wee
nothing.
hotel room.
It is, you know, I mean, everybody, I think, would agree that it's completely out of hand and not sustainable at this rate.
And not safe.
And not safe. Let's have a look at some of your picks from the papers, and it's official. We knew this. Chocolate and red wine are part of your flavonoid 5 a day.
I know, isn't that great?
So good. Well, tomorrow it will cause cancer. You know that, but because this is what happens with these stories, they flip around all the time. But this is really good news about flavonoids
for us.
Yeah, for us. It's really good news for us. But I think they...
Who cares about anything else?
Yeah, I think they mean that really dark chocolate, though.
Of course they do.
They don't mean a big bar of dairy milk.
No, but you don't get a good big bar of dairy milk now because of shrinkflation.
Yeah.
And dairy milk's kind of... you need a really... Now. Yeah, it is actually, and it's too brittle. You need a nice, decent, luxurious... dark chocolate's actually come quite a long way.
Dark chocolate with a Malbec
is just divine.
Health food.
Unless and so healthy, it's great. It's 1 of the 5 a day. It should be, you know, in everyone's diet, and I think we'll certainly be a lot happier.
Oh yeah, that would make me happy, and to be able to say no,
chocolate tasting and wine tasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winner.
And we can do that. We can do that because we can just say, I'm just trying to help you get healthy.
That's it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Duty of care.
Yeah,
exactly.
It is a
right
duty of care right there. I completely agree with that. That is really good news. This story made me laugh. British.
I don't know where you're going now.
British tourist said Corfu holiday was a nightmare. Why was it a nightmare, Claire?
Because she couldn't find any English food. I mean. What was the Shakespeare quote about Greek? It's all Greek to me.
Yeah. I mean, what is wrong with people?
Really? Oh, I was able to get some chips at lunchtime, but breakfast was some cheese and tomato. Hello.
What did she want? Cornflakes and.
Yeah, maybe she wanted a cocktail or something. Maybe. She has alcohol for breakfast, lunch and dinner. But going to a foreign country, how patronising is that?
Just awful.
You know, to expect to eat. It was like going to Spain and going to an English pub. I know there's Irish bars all over the place, but at least in New York you get a decent pint of Guinness.
Yeah, just don't go if
exactly.
And yeah, she said that. She paid £750 for the holiday, but blasted the hotel's dining options. She said on the first morning, she said, we could have toast and a hard-boiled egg or something in sauce, but there was no bacon. They wanted a fry-up, obviously, didn't
they? There's no bacon in Dubai either. So don't go there if you want that.
Don't go there. And very quickly, because we've only got about 30 seconds left, Brad Pitt, hello. Sorry.
Did you see that was in the Telegraph features page today, actually? He's in waders.
Yeah.
But then if you look inside, there's big, masculine, burly men like Jason Momoa and Tom Hardy. Are you watching Mobland?
I'm buying the I need to read the articles. Claire Muldoon, thank you very much indeed. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much. Right, coming up, it's just for the articles, you understand. I think there's something on fishing in the GQ magazine. It's not for the pictures. It's not. It won't be for the pictures at all. Right, coming up, it's just you and me. We're going to be talking about being overseas, because there are so many more Brits being held in prisons overseas recently, largely because of the drug trade. But I'm just wondering if you have ever been in trouble overseas. Have you ever been arrested? Has somebody you know been arrested? Maybe put in a cell for a couple of days, or maybe even longer than that? What was it like? What is it like to be in legal trouble in a foreign country. Give me a shout. I'd love to hear your stories. The number you need is 0344 499 1000.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and a good morning to you. It is Petrie here with you, and this is your hour. It is a full hour dedicated to your voices. It is your chance to, well, talk back here at Talk. So I hope you take the opportunity. What I want to talk to you about this morning is, well, earlier on in the programme, I was talking to Prisoners Abroad, the CEO of Prisoners Abroad, and we were discussing why it is that so many Brits have been arrested and imprisoned overseas, and a lot of it is to do with the drug trade and drug smuggling. And in recent days and weeks, we have seen a trial beginning of 3 British nationals alleged to have been involved with smuggling cocaine disguised as packets of Angel Delight into Indonesia. They are 38 and 39 and 31 years old, so they're not kids, 2 men and a woman, and they're now facing the death penalty for that, if they are indeed, if it's fair trial and they're found guilty. And there are others, of course, that former air steward or air hostess who was caught with an enormous amount of cannabis, and I believe that was into the Philippines. I think I've got it written down here. So there's 2 women there who've been arrested separately. And separate in time, but they're looking at sentences of 25 years to 20 years in jail for trying to take these drugs into another country, and the numbers are quite extraordinary. We've seen a rapid rise in new drugs cases, which are up 57% on the previous year. So if you thought you were seeing more stories about Brits abroad getting arrested, then you were. Sometimes you can be a bit confused by the fact that they're just slower news days. They'll bung these stories in. But no, actually, there has been a massive rise. And we're seeing women and young people particularly impacted. Women make up 62% of new drugs-related cases in the last year, while the younger age groups, those under 34, made up 65% of drugs-related cases. And it just got me thinking, really. I mean, a couple of questions. Just on this alone, do you think that that anybody who gets caught doing something wrong overseas, and I have to urge you to say that none of these people have been found guilty yet, so if we don't talk about particular, that's why I'm not naming them. So they're alleged at this stage. But look, if they've done it, should they just serve the time? Do you think we should spend time, money and effort in trying to rescue them, to make their lives better? Because I tend to, like Claire Muldoon, I tend to come from the school of thought that is, look, drug smuggling is wrong, right? I mean, unless you're a mule and you're trapped in slavery and your children are being kidnapped and held at knife point, you know that it's illegal, and to do it is just foolish. If you're doing it for a couple of quid, it's just the stupidest thing to do. And it's not as if we don't know that a lot of these airports now have sniffer dogs and all sorts of ways of I mean, there's those TV programmes on, I don't know what channel they're on, is it Channel 5? I don't know. Those border programmes that I occasionally get sucked into watching, they're brilliant. But when you see people being stopped and searched and they've got drugs on them, and you just think, well, this is what's happening. So do you have any sympathy for them? I suppose that's what I'm saying. They are British. A lot of people say, well, they're our problem. We should be looking after them, even if they've done something wrong. We should be protecting them. So do you believe that we should be spending time, money and effort on these people who have done a really, really dumb thing? I mean, really stupid thing. And the other question that I have for you is, have you or somebody that you know ever been in legal trouble abroad? Anybody maybe been wrongfully arrested, or arrested for being drunk, or I mean, I know in Spain the Spanish police love arresting British people and fining them. The fines are quite extraordinary. But have you ever been, and what's it like? I mean, I can only imagine that it is. I mean, I've got into some pretty tricky situations in my reporting career, down in Siberia near Irkutsk. The FSB were not happy that I was there. I didn't have a proper visa. I wasn't really supposed to be there, and they escorted me back to Moscow and put me on a plane and sent me home. So I wasn't really, I sort of was arrested, but I wasn't arrested. They were very charming about it. My handler was very charming indeed. But I've got into situations in other countries that I've been in, but it's not like the police arrested me and threw me in a jail cell, or that I didn't know what to do next. Would you even know what to do if you're arrested in a foreign country? I'm not sure I would know what to do if I were in a foreign country. I mean, should we immediately... everybody now going overseas should have the consulate's phone number on their phone somewhere, shouldn't we? We should know at least where our embassy is, and if something does happen, that we can contact them, because that's what they're there to do. But I don't think we don't think about that very much. So I want to know if you've ever been in that sort of trouble, or somebody that you know. And as I was telling Claire, this happened to my son. He was arrested in a part of Spain. It wasn't in the sort of mainland of Spain. And it was terrifying for me. It was a very serious charge that I was told they were looking at him for. Incredibly, it doesn't get much more serious. It was bogus. It was false. It wasn't true at all. And that's why everything worked out in the end. But I was paying lots of money to bent officials. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. My lawyer, who was a very interesting character, or my son's lawyer, I should say, was a very interesting character who but potentially, profited not just from the fees that I was paying him. And there was, hints that if I wanted my son not to have to go through more days in this horrendous jail, that even though he'd been cleared at this point, but it was going to take a long time to do the paperwork, if I wanted that expedited quickly, that, the judge was a man who liked playing golf and, needed a new, and my lawyer could go to this judge and say, look, there's a new set of golf clubs in it for you if you sign these boys out of jail, and that's what happened. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I needed him to be out of that situation that he was wrongfully in the first place. And he was arrested at gunpoint. I mean, it was a very traumatic time, at least for me. He seems to have brushed it off brilliantly, but for me it was incredibly traumatic, as you can imagine, because at the age of 18 I didn't even know, I wasn't told anything until I managed to get sorted with a lawyer. And how do you get a lawyer in a foreign country? I happen to be quite lucky to be connected as a journalist, right? So I was able to find someone. It wasn't easy, but because I'm so well connected and I can phone people that I know and journalists that I know and all of that and say, do you know anybody? And so, but I don't know what, if I hadn't been as well connected, in other words, somebody who potentially isn't a journalist, what would you know how to get a lawyer in France, Italy, Germany? Whatever, if somebody you knew had been arrested. So I just don't think we think about it until we have to think about it, maybe. So I would love to know if you've ever been in that situation, or you know anybody in that situation, and also, or has been in that situation. And also, again, just on the cases that I was talking about earlier, do you have any sympathy for the plight that they may find themselves in? I mean, these three, it's unlikely that they'll be put to death, to be honest. But they're facing a death sentence for allegedly smuggling cocaine in Angel Delight packets. I mean, that is, I suppose it's quite clever in a way, but don't do it. Don't do it. This is a very stupid thing to do. 17 packets with a value roughly of £300,000. And they tried to take that into Indonesia. They must have, I mean, you must know that it's illegal if you've put it in Angel Delight packets, right? I mean, you must know what you're trying to do. And it's not very clever. I mean, I was going to say it was clever, but it's not very clever. How many people travel with 17 packets of Angel Delight? I mean, Twining's tea or Builder's tea, Yorkshire tea, great. I can imagine why people would travel with tea, because tea overseas is rubbish. But excuse me, madam, why have you got 17 packets? Do you like Angel Delight that much that you're going to take 17 packets of Angel Delight with you in your suitcase? So maybe it's not a very clever plot or plan at all. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at a national rate, but we do call you back, and you can text as well, put the word talk and then your message to 87222. Let's go to the calls now, and David is in Worcester. Hello, David.
Hey, Petrie, you right, love?
I'm all right, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Sorry to hear about your son, darling.
Oh, I mean, it's over now. So it was 9-10 years ago, and it was absolutely fine, but at the time it was horrific. It was just the worst time. Anyway, tell me your story.
I was in prison in India for 2 years for smuggling gold from Dubai.
Wow, that's quite a lead. You were in prison in India for 2 years. Oh my God, what was that? Oh my God, right, tell me. I need to know everything.
Last minute question, I'll answer them. I don't care, mate. Anything you want.
Right, so smuggling gold.
From Dubai, I was making Dubai's tax-free, you might know yourself. And I was saying it to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh a few years, and I got caught.
So, were you doing this on behalf of other people?
No, I'm not. No, I knew what we were getting into. I'd done it with watches and things, and
so you would buy the item tax free in
the jewelry guard in the Emirates in Dubai,
and then go and sell it at profit in India.
Well, yeah, because it's still cheaper because 22 karat gold is the biggest commodity in India. For dowries, any country that has a dowry uses gold. You see.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you were doing that, and how much gold would you be carrying at any one time? Because it's quite heavy, isn't it, gold?
About half a kilo up my bum.
You had it up your bum?
About half a kilo. I've had people working for me as well, some ladies from Slovakia, so it's different.
Sorry, you put the gold up your bum?
Half a kilo up my bum, yeah, but I had people helping me, like, as I got more financially wealthier, I could employ people then.
So you employed people to hide the gold in cavities?
Let's just say that, but then you had a doctor who you paid $50, and whether it's so you're pregnant, you've got cancer or aneurysm, you can't be scanned then, you see.
Right. So you'd have a doctor. So were you asking people to swallow the gold as well?
No, you can't swallow a kilo of gold.
Right. So it was just secreted in
different parts of the
anatomy. Yeah.
Yeah.
How that must. I mean, it must have been really uncomfortable up your bum.
Well, you can take tablets, can't you, to stop diarrhea? So it's the same. The muscles contract. You're asking the questions. I just speak honestly. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah.
I have got so many questions you would not believe. But anyway,
It's okay.
Right. So you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you secreted the gold in orifices, and then you paid people to secrete the gold in their orifices, and then you flew from Dubai to let's say India, where you got caught.
It's okay because my 10-year ban's already over there. Already know what I've done, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, India. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you this day that you were caught, you flew into India.
Yeah, I flew into Hyderabad.
How did they discover the gold?
Because it was my fault, so I like a drink. And it's the receipt. So I bought 4 plane tickets. Normally I'd give the people their own money to buy their own ticket. And they said, we know you're not travelling with 4 people. Where have they gone? I said, I don't know. So they've gone back to the amount of times I've travelled with, like, different people. I made me buy, like, 38, 39 times. And they just said, oh, we've got you. I said, okay.
Did they know what you were smuggling?
Yeah, of course they do. They're not bothered about drugs, I don't think. And I've never done drugs, never done people. I've done diamonds from Cameroon once. That's a different ballgame.
Again, secreted about your person?
Oh, no, I swallowed them. But
you swallowed them?
I used my mum's colander to get them out, so it's different. She was not in the best of moods.
Okay. I've just figured out what you did with the colander.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So you flew into India this time. You'd bought tickets for your other smugglers, and they went, well, you're on your own. Where are the other people? And you went, they've probably gone ahead of me or something. And they went, right, we're just going to check and see how often you make this journey. So you accidentally drew attention to yourself, basically, right?
No, I think someone gassed them, in all fairness.
Oh. And were you secreting any gold on that journey?
No.
No. So you didn't have any up your...
No, my bum at the time now. I just had that receipt, but it's like... See, it's easy because you buy in Dubai, you pay the tax in Dubai at the airport. So technically, you've done nothing wrong until you land. So, and even when you land, you've done nothing wrong until you sell. So it's like a catch-22, but yeah, anyway.
So what was the charge then? If you didn't have any gold, I was going to say on you, but I mean in you at the time. How did they join the dots that you were smuggling gold?
Tax evasion it's hard to explain. Like, I was classed as being part of a mafia in India, and it's just all sorts.
Did you? I mean, although you're admitting to what you did you get a fair trial? Do you think, or did they stitch you up with something else?
No, like the same as yourself. As what you went through is I paid the judge £3,000, but it's a funny story. He's talking in India, and I couldn't understand him. He said, "You've got no respect for my court. You've not worn a suit." I'm thinking, I'm on holiday, mate. Like, child, play it down. And then he said, "I sentenced you to 5 years." I said, "I believe you understand that." Just started laughing.
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years in it. So you ended up doing 2. But tell me how you felt at that moment when you were told it was going to be 5 years.
No, nothing. I just thought, well, what could I do? It's my own fault. You're making, isn't it?
You got away with it for so long that you just thought, I've got to pay.
Sometimes, Petrie, it's more of a... I'm an honest guy, and, what I did was against the government. It weren't against a human being.
Yeah.
So, but when I got in the prison and that, I had no problems. There's quite a lot of people there, you know what I mean? A bit weird scenario, but the judges and the police, everyone was bent, so...
So were any of your mules caught?
No.
They weren't caught.
I would have done 20 years. Can we not use the word mules?
Sorry.
They was...
associates?
There was educated people studying, and no, I would have took the, like you said about the death, I would have took the death penalty for all of them. No, that never happened. No names ever given.
So you refused to name them, right?
We didn't want them, Petrie. They wanted me, love.
Right, because you were the kingpin.
I wouldn't say the word kingpins. What I am, I'd say I was, a lonely sole trader.
A sole trader, the CEO of your own company. So you were able to get money, presume cash money, to be able to bribe the judge and to bribe the police and the prison guards and people like that. Did the consulate ever get involved? The British consulate?
Well, that's what that guy you was talking to before. Is it Christian Stacey?
Yeah.
They sent me one woman after 7 months from the consulate. She was Indian. She couldn't speak barely a word of English, so I don't know what the bloody country's paying them for. It's a high commission you need, but they're the ones they send over for parties. Not one single visit. And when I was in prison in Sri Lanka for the same offence, no one turned up, so I was there for 14 months. Send your pictures if you want with a deportation camp when I go.
Right, we'll get on to Sri Lanka in a minute. We're in India at the moment. So, what was the jail like? So you didn't get any help really from. I didn't. I'm with you on that. I'm not impressed.
Well, less mummy and daddy are millionaires. You're getting nothing.
Yeah.
Like them, with them 3 kids that took the pants down and shown the bum next to Buddha.
Yeah. And
they all got away with it. You know what I mean? Unless mummy and daddy can help you out with it, you're not getting any. No, you're not getting. That's not even a pound. But then again, when you're in prison overseas, so especially in India, they get $72 per day from the UN. So the longer they keep you, the more financially it's feasible for themselves.
Well, that's not a very good system, is it? But
not for me,
not for you, no. So you're in it. Did you have? I'm trying to imagine what an Indian prison would look like. What were the cells like? Were they? Did you get your own cell, or were you?
No, I was in a cell with the first cell I went to was 148 people.
8 people in a cell.
148.
148 people.
Yeah, that was in the law. But because of I'm not big in his notoriety and all that. Like, people knew certain things, but I had two young lads. They were fanning me down with banana leaves all night, so I was keeping cool and that. But there was no windows, no beds, no blankets, no plates, no nothing. No,
How many toilets were there for 148 men?
Well, just like one big large latrine, really.
God, it sounds awful. What was the food like?
Oh, amazing. Can't knock it. It's the best food I've ever had. My mum's when I come home, my mum said, "You never look so bloody healthy." You fell $1 million when I go home.
So you had two young men fanning you with banana leaves, and you were eating the best food you've ever had in your life.
Rice and dal, fish curry. Yeah.
Oh, that does sound nice.
It was beautiful. I can't knock it.
Right. So you eventually get out of jail in India. They let you out early, presumably.
26th of January it was. I had to hand myself in Sri Lanka. It's to run concurrent. I went to... My birthday is the 6th of February, so I went 2015, give or take. To hand myself in. I went to a place called Hikkaduwa in Sri Lanka. It's on the coast. And I had, like, police guards, and I paid the police just to let me chill out for a few months, because obviously I've been away for a while.
Right.
And I paid them, and they come back like 2-3 months later, and they took me to court, and and I got 14 months there.
Right, no, I don't quite understand. So you leave the jail in India, and you decide you want to go to Sri Lanka for a bit of a holiday?
No, I was...
You were smuggling gold into Sri Lanka?
Yeah, but because of the connection, I was found guilty in both, so I had to go, otherwise...
Oh, I see. There'd be a warrant out for you.
I can see you laughing on the bloody...
I'm not laughing much. So, did you have associates helping you smuggle into Sri Lanka as well?
No, we used a boat from Chennai.
Right. So no need to...
I'm not as daft as I sound. Why share the money when you can keep it yourself?
Yeah, and no need to hide it in an orifice or anything.
Well, I've got to get it into Sri Lanka, so I'm not going to say I'm completely clean. Like mine
a bit like the gold. A bit like the gold. That wasn't completely clean, was it?
The money I spent on bleach.
You're not winding me up, are you? This is true.
Oh, my grandma's ashes. You phone my mum now, I'll give you the number.
No, I believe you. I totally believe you. I honestly do believe you.
Too much. I forget what I lied about, darling.
No, I actually believe every single word. So then you went to prison in Sri Lanka for 14 months.
Yeah, I started off in Galle, near the Dutch port. And then I got moved to Medellin in Colombo.
Right.
And then I was in there, and then unfortunately the Pope come and then released everyone with 6 months left. I got sent to a deportation camp, and I hated it. So I escaped from there, moved to a friend I'd met to that hotel. He was Sri Lankan, he had a Scottish wife. And they said, if I don't have myself in, they're going to arrest all their families, so I just handed myself back in.
Oh. What was the food like there? All right.
In the prison was lovely. In the deportation camp, which sometimes I don't know why we don't use it here. It was that smelly, salty, dried fish that no one eats.
Oh yeah, no.
That's what it was. That and it's worse than my mum's cooking. And bless her, she was a little lady for 37 years.
So after Sri Lanka, you clearly you're back in Worcester.
Yeah.
Are you on the straight and narrow now, or are you still taking laxatives for some reason?
I'm still taking muscle tensors. No,
I will never look at a bit of gold the same ever again. I'm telling you.
That comes from me.
So are you rich? Was it worth it?
I'm rich in experience
and stories. Yeah.
But we can't go into financially. But I'm all right. I'm okay. I don't struggle, but it's not about the money, is it? It's about when you sit there and someone's going on about, oh, I've done this, I've done that, I just keep quiet thinking, you've done F all,
You've
mate.
done nothing compared to David.
Yeah,
There's got to be a film. There's got to be a film made about you. Sort of a sort of slightly comedic, version. There's got to be a film made about you, David. Why isn't there a book or a film?
I've been offered a book deal and all that, but they want you to lie, and I don't lie. Or it was cock. It wasn't. My flat's dirty, and the fucking cellar was in. Fucking spoilers had this guy come, right? 2-story flats had this guy come, and his tongue was cut out, so he couldn't speak.
Whose tongue was cut out? Sorry, what?
This guy used to clean myself, right? So he come in every morning and go, oh. So I knew he wanted to bleach my floor and that.
Yeah.
When he finished, he go, oh. That was it. That's all we went through. Oh. That's how we communicated.
I don't even know where to go with that. I mean,
I didn't know what he meant. I knew he meant. All right, go on, Dave. Go on,
there's got to be. I'm sorry. There has to be. If somebody's got to make a film. If anybody's listening who's a filmmaker, this has got to be a film. It would be the funniest movie.
All my cousins know and everything. They said, "How did you get away with it for so long?" I said, "I don't know."
Who would be your butt double? Who would you get as your bottom double? Because we'd have to have a scene with you with the gold.
I'd have to say my mum.
Your mother would be your butt.
I've been married 3 times. I don't want anyone else seeing it.
I thought you were going to say Brad Pitt. No, your mother. David.
I love him.
David, you have made my year. Thank you. That story is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love you. Thank you. David in Worcester. I've got to take a break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This.
We were just saying we might as well finish the programme here, frankly. It doesn't get better than Dave in Worcester telling us his story about smuggling gold. And I said it really should be a movie. I mean, can you imagine that film? It would be fantastic. It's the sort of thing that you would imagine years ago Peter Sellers would play David, wouldn't he? It would have to be somebody hapless. I mean, but he got away with it 30 times, I guess. It's Paul Bottom. Gary has said you could call the film The Gold-Plated Ring, which I thought was very clever. Thank you, Gary. And any other ideas for the film that we're going to make with David, let me know, because I don't. And then he mentions the man who bleached his cell had his tongue cut out. I don't even. But then ends up in prison, in detention centre, and prison in Sri Lanka. But the food was good. So you do know that if you get arrested and put in jail in India or in Sri Lanka, the food will be really good. And he would have his mother as his bottom double. That has confused me. But maybe his mother has got a particularly hairy bottom. I don't know. Pert, masculine bottom. I mean, who knows? There's nothing wrong with that. This message says, that call from David is the funniest, best call I've ever heard on your show. Rachel. Honestly, I want to go home now. That's it. My career is over. I'm done. That is it. I've peaked. In terms of call, I have peaked. But right, I completely agree with that. Debbie said, David has made my night. I've laughed so much. He was hilarious. Thanks, David, for making me laugh. I don't think he meant to be funny, really, at the beginning. And Gary again says, that poor airport security man, talk about digging for gold. 148 men in a cell, though. I mean, and one toilet. That's... Oh, I don't know what to say. Do you know what? I couldn't take a break in that half an hour because he was so funny. I had to keep him on. But I am contractually obliged to take that break now. So I'll be back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, we're all still just in awe, shock, delight, I don't know, with David's call. And Angie said, oh, Petrie, Dave's story and your reaction to it has had me in stitches. Please tell me you're going to do an end-of-year compilation of callers. I think we're going to have to, aren't we? We're going to have to start flagging these amazing calls. You see, this is... A lot of people say to me, why did you do phone-in? Why are you doing phone-in? That's why I do phone-in. Because you guys are the funniest, most interesting, most surprising people in the world. I mean, for years I was interviewing politicians and CEOs, and it's all the same blah 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 rubbish. There's no surprises. There's nothing interesting. So I do phone in to talk to you, to find people like David, and talk to them, and just that's why I do phone-in. I think that is the clearest example of why phone-in is the best thing in the world. That's what makes me happy. So it gives me joy. And sometimes it gives me sadness, and sometimes it gives me horror, and all of I get the whole range of emotions from doing phone-in, and that's why I love it, and that's why I do it, and that's why I clear this hour for moments like that, for gold. I mean, literally gold. That was gold. I mean, that's just that. Like I said, I've peaked. That is the end of my career now. It is not going to get better than that. It is not. I might even retire. I mean, who knows? It's got to be on the cards. It's got to be on the cards. How can you follow that? You can't follow that. We literally might as well shut down the programme now. Except we've got Kevin on the phone. Kevin, I'm so sorry. That is impossible to follow that.
No, you're absolutely right. I feel like a dyslexic on countdown. I cannot follow that. That is such a pain in the
a pain in the gold.
The James Bond movie Goldfinger, but that makes a different approach to it.
Yeah, I think that the security guards did. The security guards did not have a gold finger. They didn't come out gold. That's for sure.
Yeah, the thing is, I could not make you laugh tonight as much as he has.
No, you don't have to. He has. He's done the job there. But let's talk. So let's try and change the tone slightly with people who.
Golden.
Yeah, with people who.
24 carat.
I bet by now he could get 24 carats in his bottom. There must be some space that's been created.
That's a hell of a Sunday dinner.
It's been expanded. Let's put it that way. But with people like Dave, okay, so he got away with it for 30 times, making money, selling gold, and like he said, he didn't hurt anybody but himself.
Stop it! I'm cutting you off in a minute. I can't do it. I've got a weak bladder.
So he didn't, do you have any sympathy for him for getting caught, though? I mean...
Well, no, because it was gold. It wasn't drugs.
Yeah.
Was it?
No, it wasn't. No. Wasn't drugs. No. Never did drugs. No.
No, it could have been diamonds.
He did do diamonds.
Whatever.
He did once do diamonds, he said, and he swallowed those, and his mum wasn't very happy when he used the colander.
Well, it depends on the size of the diamonds. I would use a sieve, personally.
Well, that's what a colander is, isn't it? These must have been fairly big.
Oh, right.
Diamonds.
Sorry. I'm not kitchen.
Oh, you're not a kitchen expert. Dave knows this stuff. I mean, if you're going to smuggle diamonds, you need to know that stuff. But he got caught and he got sent to prison for it. He sounds like he had a lovely time, actually.
Well, what I would have done personally, if I was in Parliament, I'd have sent a Hercules aeroplane with golf clubs and Angel Delight and got him extracted. Well, that's
like the gold.
Right. Stop it! You're on TV.
I know. I'm such a child. Yeah. I need to grow up. I mean, one day I will grow up.
Yes, you will.
I will. But David is a national... I was going to say national treasure, literally.
Yeah. Jewel in the crown. Stop it.
That could be the name. That could be the name of the film.
Jewel in the crown.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, it's a bit like the book I read, Cat in the Bed by Claude Balls. Interesting book. Stop it. Stop it.
I've lost
Stop it.
It's gone.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Claire Muldoon.
Yeah.
Right. I could listen to you two all night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what a lovely lady. I don't know where you get your people from. And there was an old Scottish gentleman, months ago.
Oh, John Boothman. We love John Boothman. Yeah, no, he's on regularly, actually.
Yeah, I can listen to you two all night.
Yeah, he's back on Monday.
Yeah, excellent. I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
No, I love those people. We try and, because I don't do a pay-per-view like anybody else does a pay-per-view, right? It's always just a chat and a bit silly and a bit, but you get the news, you get the stories, but it's just a bit more of a conversation. I think that's better, I think.
I think the thing is if you're a midnight owl, it is so just refreshing. It's not the news as in boundaries and things. It's so just open chat.
Yeah.
And I think that's what your show is. I mean, don't get me wrong, with the other two pillocks that are on later in the week, one of them's too sharp with the blonde spiky hair.
Right.
So I prefer your show.
You know, you're putting me in a very difficult position, so I can't really comment.
No, but you still laughing. You're still laughing. I think he powders his nose too often. Oh, right.
Oh, we're going there, are we, Kevin?
Oh, right,
we're going there, are we?
Yeah, he's powdering his nose too often.
You're very naughty.
Sorry.
Now go and practice your gold polishing.
No, I've just hoovered up, and I'm just wiping down surfaces, and it's 24 carat, beautiful show.
A 24 carat show. Thank you, Kevin. It's lovely talking to you. Thank you so much. Rachel says, thank you so much for being you and doing this show. You've done some great shows, but tonight's has made me laugh so much. My stomach is hurting. Your reactions were priceless. You know what? It's because I'm a child. I'm mentally 14, when on a grown-up day, 14 years old. So anybody mentions the word bottom to me, that's it. I'm a kid. I'm just a big child, and I think most of us are really. Joe has said, laughing so much at this story, my catheter has come out. Is that for real? I'm so sorry. I feel bad now. Why am I laughing? That's horrible. My district nurse will not be happy about having to come out at this time to replace it. I don't care. Thank you both for putting a smile on my face. Oh my God. If that's true, I'm so sorry. Bless him. Anyway, I have to take another break, but I will be back in just a moment. I think I'll be back in just a moment.
UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you. And Dave has really completely destroyed this programme. I mean, I'm just going to say he has both enhanced and ruined the show, because there's nowhere to go. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really not going to. There's nowhere. Where can I go with that? What can I do with that story? No one can beat that story. No one's going to phone in and go, I've got a better story than Dave's. It's just not going to happen. And I think people are intimidated by that. And I think that I can't. There's no way that I can. I can't be a part of that. So I'm going to read some of your messages out as well. So keep sending them in if you've got anything to say about Dave or any idea for the film, for the film that we're going to make about Dave's life, his criminal activities, and his mother being his bottom double. I don't know what to say. David has sent in a message saying, "Hi Petrie, at least he didn't call it The Spy Who Shagged Me." I don't think that's possible with the gold. I'm just saying. I don't know how these things work, but I don't think that. No. Kaz has sent me a couple of pictures of Angel Delight. Am I right in remembering there was also something called Instant Whip? Does anybody remember that? I'm looking at James. He's a bit older than the other two. No, there was. I'm sure it was Instant Whip and Angel Delight. They're all shaking their head at me. They don't know. So Kaz has sent me a couple of pictures of strawberry and chocolate. This is how seriously we take this programme. No, it was Instant Whip. It was something else. It wasn't Dream Whip. It wasn't. It's a serious topic of conversation was about getting arrested overseas. Very serious topic, and smuggling drugs. And I've got a cow sending me photographs of packets of Angel Delight. There was a raspberry flavoured Instant Whip. There you go. I knew I remembered it, and vanilla. Yeah, there you go. See, I remember. I was a child of the 70s and my mother didn't cook, so we had Instant Whip and Angel Delight. I mean, I don't think I can... Angel Delight now, I think that just reminds me of David. I don't know why. Another message here says, Petrie, I think you and Claire should do Gogglebox together. I would love that, actually. That'd be great. We'd be fired within probably the first show. Honestly, if we were unleashed, there's no way that we wouldn't be sacked. In fact, they wouldn't air it. I'm telling you, unless I did it live. Another one here says, "Hi ladies, so when's your movie coming out, Petrie?" I don't think she's even referring to. I'm not in it, by the way. I'm not going to be in Dave's movie. I'm not having any part of that. I am distancing myself from some stuff like that. So that movie not happening. Carol says, are you going to tell us more about your upcoming podcast, and when are we going to see more photographs of Bailey and Humphrey? Actually, I should have given one to my producer this evening, because I did take one of them sleeping together, but I will take more pictures over the next few days and bring them in. So we'll show some pictures of Bailey and Humphrey. Humphrey's getting to be quite a chunky Humphrey now. Actually, he's getting quite big, and that's from Carol. Those of you who don't know who Bailey and Humphrey are, they're my dogs, and Humphrey's the puppy, who is very naughty, in a cute and adorable way, but he's very naughty. Got a story here from Ernie. It says, "Hi Petrie, a labourer friend of mine got into a fight in Thailand and was thrown into prison. He's back in Britain now. He said it was the worst 6 weeks of his life. He said the prison was just like a school gym and it was packed with people. He said he had literally had the space he was standing on and there were holes in the floor spread out to go to the toilet. It was like being in a sardine can. You could only sleep standing up." What? Everybody was leaning against each other and he didn't know when he was going to court or getting out. Oh, that sounds awful. It doesn't sound as nice as Dave's stay in India, does it? Where he had 2 young men fanning him with banana leaves as he slept. I wonder what currency he paid them in. He said he didn't know when he was going to court. The door opened twice a day and small bowls of rice were passed in and bottles of water. He was let out after 6 weeks. His mate met him outside and told him he'd been trying to get him out for weeks, and in the end his mate had to pay £5,000 to get him out. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on, isn't there? A lot of money changing hands. And he said there were people in there for drug offences who were still there after years and years. He said it was horrific. I mean, that's it, isn't it? I mean, 6 weeks. I couldn't do 6 hours in a place like that. I just really couldn't. And getting in a fight, I suppose, can happen, can't it? It can kind of happen if you're a bit drunk and you're a bit merry and you're a bit whatever. You might get into a fight, but the idea of being in a prison like that for 6 weeks, awful. Oh, there's got a message here from Thailand. Oh, right. That's great. We've got listeners in Thailand. I hope you've learnt something about smuggling gold. I hope you've learnt that it's not the way to go. So this person in Thailand said, I live in Thailand, and here in Yuk, if you get arrested, there are 3 options. Option 1, if the cops feel threatened by a drunken yob, they will use the gun that they always carry. Option 2, they will take you to an ATM and take all your cash, give it to them, or go to prison. And option 3, go to jail. That's a death sentence and you won't come out. Refer to option 2. If you live in Thailand, then, do you have 2 bank accounts? Like a fake bank account with like a couple of £100 in it, and then your real bank account with real money in it, so that you can just take money out? Because if you've got a couple of grand, then they could take all of that. But if you've got a fake bank account with only 200 in, then you only get 200. That's what God, I've got such a criminal mind on me. I'm already arranging 2 different bank accounts for when I go to Thailand. I've been to Thailand, actually. Very nice country. I enjoyed it. I didn't do anything criminal, but I'm not prepared to talk about it anyway. And Ali has said these drug smugglers are the ones being caught by the cartels. They're tipping off. This is interesting. I wondered about this. This is interesting. Ali is saying that the drug smugglers we see being caught are actually tipped off by the cartel. The cartels who are smuggling tip off some mules with drugs, get them arrested, to keep the country happy and keep the police happy. And it means they can smuggle more stuff in if they throw them a bone every now and then. So that's quite interesting as well. Let me go back to the top. Oh no. Andrew Baker said, I've been watching your show for around 18 months and I've always enjoyed it, but tonight you and Dave have me in fits of laughter. Please don't grow up. There's no chance I'm going to grow up. Look, I'm as old as I am. If I haven't grown up by now, it's never going to happen. But thank you for that. How about The Man with the Golden Ringer for a film title? It could be that, couldn't it? And Joe has said, perhaps I could use my catheter tube God. to smuggle diamonds. You wouldn't see them from the outside. Now, this programme is not to encourage any of you to start doing anything criminal, right? Just because you heard that the prison food in India is really rather good. I don't want anybody smuggling anything inside anywhere, right? Just don't do it. If you do, then at least give me a call afterwards. I'll do this phone in again sometime, and then you can tell me your story. And Jill has said Claire Muldoon and David, absolute bliss. I'm still laughing. Oh God, what a great way to end my week this week. There's been